Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome everyone that's from Central Cyclists. Welcome everyone that's from Seminole Cyclists and all your respective clubs. So I'm glad to see that we have a really good group of experienced riders that are going to be joining me on this trip to Tampa, and really looking forward to it. I'm pretty excited. Saturday can't come here quick enough. Nevertheless, I want to take a quick moment just to give you an update in terms of what to expect from this ride. This is going to be my fourth time doing this ride. It's a really safe ride. A couple sections that maybe require a little bit more patience with, but it's an overall safe and fun ride and a good way to get over to Tampa. And really excited about having a team this large to be able to move in that direction with me to go over there. But the ride will start at 6 o'clock. Time has moved up. 6 o'clock is what we're anticipating as being the time, and we're going to leave from the Publix in Winter Park. So if you're familiar with PF Chang's, we're going to be in that vicinity. There's a Publix that's right next to PF Chang's and REI, and we're going to be behind the Publix. There's a parking lot that's in the back that I'll send out a screen aerial shot later on this week to tell you exactly where to be. But we're going to leave from Publix, and we're going to make our way through passing Four Rivers, if you're familiar with that area, I think down Fairbanks, and make our way all the way out to Claricona, Ocoee. So once we're in Claricona, Ocoee, we'll head towards kind of like Ocoee High School is where we're headed. We're not going to take the trail this year. In the past, we've taken the trail from Ocoee High School all the way through to Winter Park to Killarney. We're not going to do that this year. What we're going to do is given the size of the group, we're still going to go along Claricona, Ocoee along this route here. But where we would typically get onto the Western Winds Trail, which is represented here, we're going to bypass that and make our way down through this area here and go on the backside to get to Plant Street. I think that given the size of the group that we have, I don't want to put that many cyclists on the trail early in the morning. Given we don't have the kids to be concerned with that, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, I think there's still just probably a lot of runners and cyclists that I think that we can avoid that area. So we'll go along the Lake Apopka here, really nice, scenic area, and then we'll make our way to Plant Street. And once we get out to Plant Street, which turns into Oakland Ave, then we'll hop on the trail to get to the West Orange Trail, which is actually going to probably be the Lake County Trail, because I think Lake County Trail starts around here. So this Lake County Trail, we'll take that all the way out into 455, and then we'll have a nice climb here to get to our first SAC stop. First SAC stop will be at mile marker 24. But in this first section of 24 miles, you're not going to have a lot of hills. You'll have one overpass that you'll take that's going over the 429, and then you'll have a nice climb here to get to this SAC. So first segment should be a really good opportunity to warm your legs up and get in good shape. I'm going to suggest that we take an easy pace until we get to Claricona Ocoee Road at around about no more than 18 miles an hour. It's a long ride. It's going to be hot. Probably going to be hot. I think weather's changed a little bit, but I want to make sure people are in a good physical condition and we don't start off with a breakneck pace rather. So 18 miles an hour for the first, maybe say 5 to 6 miles, and then we'll pick up the pace to 21. This next segment, which is going to be from mile marker 24 to mile marker 42. So we're going to have, a pretty nice little distance there, roughly only around 18 miles. We'll actually start to pick up some elevation. So you can notice that between here and here, it's pretty choppy, and we're going to have some climbing. So just be prepared for that. A real serious climb on 50 to get over to this road here. And this is going to be 3-lane traffic. So this is where it's going to be really important to listen to the marshals that we're going to have. We're going to have 4 marshals, and we'll include myself. It's going to be myself, Andy, Linzel, and we'll also have Brian. Those will be the 4 folks that I've asked to help me corral, all 25 of us to make sure we get there safely. So just pay attention to who the marshals are, listen to their voices, kind of follow their guidance. But we're going to have 3 lanes of traffic to pass here to be able to make it over to this turn. This may be a section if we get separated because of the climb that we'll regroup once we make this turn. But if we're all together, we'll keep moving on. This section in here, anything that's spectacular, that's earth-shattering. I think most of these roads in here are 1 and 2 lane, but I think that, again, given the early start that we have, we shouldn't have any issue at all. We'll make our way through and head towards our second sag. So out in here, we're on 561. This is not the 561 that most of us are familiar with that we travel for Sugarloaf, but it's just another 2-lane road here. I did do some riding on this 2 weekends ago, and traffic was pretty light. So I think we should be fine to run a double pace line here without any issue at all. But that'll take us, really all the way out to mile marker 41, which is 33. And this is a section that we really want to be very careful on. So 33 is a pretty busy highway, and it's a highway that a lot of trucks from Publix and other Walmart, they use quite a bit. So once we get this stop here, we only have a short distance to get to the sag rather, and then from there, what we'll do is we'll just kind of have another debriefing. But that being said, 42 is our second sag, and coming out of the second sag, what I probably will suggest that we do, and I'm going to talk to the marshals tonight, see their input. We will probably look at a situation where we actually do a staggered rollout. We will have about 24 to 25 folks. We'll have 4 marshals. So I'm thinking that we'll do a rollout every 30 seconds of 6 people. 6 people just roll out, 6 people just roll out, 6 people just roll out, and so forth. The reason why I'm going to do that is that this road is so busy. There's a wide shoulder that's there. I don't want to put us at risk of carrying 24 people in a pace line. I think that's just way too much. So if we do 4 separate groups rolling out anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds apart, that'll give us enough time to kind of break up the space. We're on this section for a couple miles, 1 mile, 2 miles, 3. I think it's about 5 miles that we're there. So we're going to be on this section for 5 miles. So just count on about 20 minutes, but again, we're still kind of early in the morning. I would suspect that we'll probably get to that section maybe around 8:30, 9 o'clock, if we're lucky. And it probably would be traffic will be pretty light, but nevertheless, we're going to space this out and make sure we get there safely. Right around here is a little church parking lot right here. So if you guys have ridden with me before, this is our regrouping spot. So if you're in that first group, get to the church spot, just sit there, wait for us to get together, and then we'll roll out together. On this section, it's a pretty nice long stretch of road. Really very, very scenic. Not a lot of traffic. We'll pass the Van Fleet Trail, but it can be pretty monotonous. I mean, we're going to have probably 10 miles on this stretch of road that we can get into a nice cadence, a nice pace line, and just run a pretty nice rhythm. So this will actually take us all the way up to Green Pond. Like I said, we're passing Van Fleet. And our next sag will be at mile marker 62, I believe it is. Actually 64. So it's right around here. So this is our third sag. So from 42 to 64 is our third segment, if you will. That third segment is pretty flat. No real challenges that are there. So again, the first segment, maybe a little bit climbing at the end. Second segment, a lot of climbing that's there. Just enough to kind of be a disruption. Third segment, which is right again around about here on the elevation chart, is pretty flat. And then we'll move into our fourth segment, which actually has some hills as well too, but not anything that's major. So this third segment is one where you really want to stay on top of your nutrition and your hydration, largely in part because it's probably going to be the longest segment. We'll probably have to go about 26 miles on this particular segment of the route. If we have to stop, just to get a breather, we will, but we're going to try to go ahead and push on and try to make it 24 or 26 miles in a segment. I think that's reasonable. But again, we ride as a family, we ride as a team, and we will kind of pace ourselves based upon the weakest link that we have in our group. And it's not intended to call anybody out, but it's intended to make sure that we all get there safely and everyone has a good time, and no one has a feeling as though they just don't feel well on a ride. They don't feel like they had a good experience. So 26 miles is that fourth segment that we're going to have, and the terrain on that is a little bit choppy. I don't think there's anything in here on this fourth segment that is noteworthy. We'll pass maybe some strawberry fields, so just be prepared to start smelling the strawberries, and maybe a little bit too early before them start smelling, but all through this segment here, we got strawberry fields. We'll pass my high school, not my high school, but we're in this town that's called Nikes, Florida. So we always usually stop at this high school here and grab a picture. That's probably one of the segments this probably be where we'll just take a breather because this road here is 2-lane and it's about a 10-mile stretch. So, it's enough to kind of be annoying with cars passing you. They're usually pretty respectful, but there's just no way to get around this segment that's about 10 miles long. So after we have this long stretch, we'll probably stop here for a brief minute just to catch your air, snag a picture real quick, and move on. And then from there, we'll have another 8 miles until we actually have a real official sag. But once we get out to mile 90, which is here, this is an area for anybody that's done across Florida. We've been out in this area before. We'll have our last sag here, and then we'll only have around about 17, 18 more miles before we finish things off. This last segment is actually pretty easy. Not a lot of climbing, a little bit downhill, maybe a little bit of elevation in this section here, which is around about mile marker 92. So from here to here, we'll have a little bit of climbing, but overall, it's a really nice, downward stretch, to make our way into Tampa. So I think, I'm anticipating, the weather to be pretty good. I'm anticipating, maybe a little bit of warmness. I think that I saw temperatures of 80 earlier last week. I saw temperatures close to around about 60, which is, would have been more desirable, but nevertheless, we're going to have temperatures maybe in the 80s, and we'll have to just manage your hydration. But what we will do is once we get into Ybor here, we'll pass the Columbia restaurant. I will let them know that we are in town, let them know to start preparing the tables for us. We'll go down to the hotel here, park our bikes, take a quick shower if you want to. I got 3 rooms. Take a shower, change clothes, and we'll catch Ubers or whatever we want to do and walk back to the Columbia. It's a pretty long walk. I mean, it looks short, but it's enough to be annoying that after being on a bike 6 hours, you probably don't want to walk. So, I would suggest grabbing an Uber and Ubering back down here to the restaurant. Restaurant reservations are at 2 o'clock, but they're going to give us a little bit of latitude because they know that we're traveling on bikes. I would ideally like to be there by 2:30. That way we can, take our time, eat, have a good time, chat, and relish in the opportunity that we did do something that was pretty epic this week. Outside of that, I'm just trying to think. Again, 6 o'clock is the meetup time. Make sure you guys are prepared with your bikes. Make sure they're in good working order. As I said earlier, the pace is going to be between 21, or it's really going to be 1921. If you're in the front and you're pulling, you can't pull at 21, and you have to about dial it down to 20. That's fine. If you have to dial it down to 19, we'll work with that. But we don't want to dial it down to 18. That's just not where we need to be. So 18 to 21 is really kind of the pace that we're trying to run, and we want to cap it at 21. I don't want anyone to not be able to complete this ride. I don't want anyone to feel as though we set an expectation of 21 and we're running 22, 23, 24. If we got the wind at our back, we may pick up the pace. We may, elevate things a little bit more. But with a group that is this wide in terms of different disciplines and speeds, I want to be fair to everyone. We have some A riders, we have some trainers, we have some bike fitters, we have a pretty extensive group on the upper end side of things, and we have some folks that are really trying to really grow their fitness, that are capable of doing this ride, but I don't want them to feel as though things are not outside of their comfort level. But I do have a minimum expectation that I do have. And if you're not able to maintain that, then, as I mentioned earlier in the week, find a buddy, find a partner, And if you have to drop off, you have to drop off. But the larger group will move on if we're maintaining the minimum standards that we have. Outside of that, the group is meeting tonight. The marshals are meeting tonight, as I mentioned. We're going to go through the route. If there's anything more that I think I need to add, I will let you guys know. I will officially post the route tomorrow. Thursday, enjoy Thanksgiving. Start eating those sweet potatoes. Start eating those mashed potatoes, and start getting your carb load. Friday, we'll go through just a final checklist and give you an aerial shot of where the route is going to be, give you an aerial shot of where the start location will be. But outside of that, I think we should be in good shape. So it's about 15 minutes long, longer than I anticipated, but just some information that I wanted to make sure I share with you guys. So hope all is well. Enjoy Thanksgiving, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care. Bye.